Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Morning Mindset. I hope you're doing well out there in this crazy world. But remember, no matter how crazy the world seems, we still have a powerful God who is fully in control of what's going on. He is our Savior, He is our King, and none of this is taking Him by surprise. We need to rest in that truth today as we endeavor to align our minds with His truth so that we can live this day in a way that brings Him glory. All right, friends, let's dive into the scriptures again. This is Acts chapter 14. We're looking at verses 8 through 18. And we're following along in the story of the missionary journeys of two men, Paul the apostle and his friend Barnabas. And they're going throughout the regions of Greece and Macedonia, all those areas, and they are telling the good news about Jesus, and God is working in mighty ways. In verse 8 it says, "Now at Lystra there was a man sitting who could not use his feet. He was crippled from birth and had never walked. He listened to Paul speaking. And Paul, looking intently at him and seeing that he had faith to be made well, said in a loud voice, 'Stand upright on your feet.' And he sprang up and began walking. And when the crowd saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in Lycaonian, 'The gods have come down to us in the likeness of men.' Barnabas they called Zeus, and Paul Hermes, because he was the chief speaker. And the priest of Zeus, whose temple was at the entrance of the city, brought oxen and garlands to the gates and wanted to offer sacrifice with the crowds. But when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of it, they tore their garments and rushed out into the crowd, crying out, 'Men, why are you doing these things? We also are men of like nature with you, and we bring you good news that you should turn from these vain things to a living God, who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them. In past generations, He allowed all the nations to walk in their own ways. Yet He did not leave Himself without witness, for He did good by giving you rains from heaven and fruitful seasons, satisfying your hearts with food and gladness.' Even with these words, they scarcely restrained the people from offering sacrifice to them." This is an amazing turn of events. In some of the previous cities where Paul and Barnabas went, the people came against them in opposition, trying to stone them and drove them out of their region. But in this case, the people respond to the gospel with a mistaken identity. They think Paul and Barnabas are the gods come down to earth. Their gods, Zeus and Hermes. Now, it's interesting to note here, they thought Paul was Hermes because Hermes was a messenger kind of a god, and Paul seems to be the primary one speaking. So they think Paul is Hermes and Barnabas is Zeus, who in the Greek pantheon was the top dog god. He was the big one. So it's very interesting, the perception they had of these men. And I love what Paul and Barnabas do. They turn the credit back to God. And they rush out into the crowd, tearing their garments. That means they're in a state of mourning. They're repenting of something. They're trying to make the people understand, no. Don't get messed up about this. We are also men of like nature with you, and we bring you good news that you should turn from these vain things to a living God. You see, they put the attention back where it should go, to God Himself and the message of redemption and salvation through Jesus Christ. You see, many times in our lives, people will hear us speak the message of God. They will see the change that He makes in our lives because He truly does transform lives. And they begin to say, "How did you do it? Tell me the story. What happened? What are your 3 steps to success?" All those kinds of approaches. And friends, we've got to put the credit where credit is due and focus the attention back on God, because He is the Savior of all men. He is the one who transforms lives. It's nothing about us that's worth imitation or that's worth people getting all riled up about. It's God's work that transforms lives. And so, my friends, I want to encourage you, as you have opportunity, when people see the changes that are happening in your life because of Jesus, humbly, carefully, but clearly put the focus back on Jesus and let people know, I admit there are changes that have happened in my life, but it's nothing that I get credit for. Jesus is the one who made these changes. Let me tell you about him. Jesus, give us the humble, powerful hope that motivates us to tell others that you are the reason for the change that's happening in our lives. Enable us to point out to others that transformation can be theirs as well. Show through our lives that you are indeed King and Lord and the Creator who is to be worshiped. Give us the message when the time comes that we may speak on your behalf boldly, with confidence, and clearly so others can understand.